Welcome back, true believers, and all you spectacular Spidey fans, and all of you merry Marvelists out there, to another very exciting SpiderMan PS4 related video. And today is an extremely special video because it doesn't really even come from me, but rather I'm honored to be able to upload this entire post on my channel for more of you awesome fans to see, and hopefully they can get more exposure from it. And what, of course, I'm talking about is a extremely detailed and very exciting and very enthralling interview between Yuri Lowenthal and two amazing individuals by the name of Peter Melnick and Eddie Wilson from the Marvelists Podcast. Now, if you don't know, the Marvelists Podcast is an extremely in-depth podcast which covers the many facets of everything that interests your soul, heart, and passion with the Marvel Universe. So, of course, that ranges from the comics, the movies with the MCU, and today's discussion is wonderfully the video games. And what better game to talk about than SpiderMan PS4? So, essentially, if you want to know everything there is about Marvel and keep up to date with all the recent news about the MCU going forward, Marvel TV, Marvel Comics, Marvel shows, Marvel games, I highly recommend that you go and subscribe to the Marvelists Podcast and also follow them on Twitter. Go on their Facebook. I'll put all their social links in the description below because they definitely deserve your attention, and I'm just honored to be able to post their interview on my channel so that way they can get the recognition they deserve. But basically, there is a lot to go over in this interview, which I will not spoil in case you guys haven't heard already, with this amazing discussion between the two, with Peter Melnick and Eddie Wilson, with Yuri Lowenthal, going in head-to-toe about everything with SpiderMan PS4, how it affected Yuri after the game released, what it means to him being in that role, and excitingly enough, the sequel, which I will leave as a surprise for you to listen to in the interview itself. But essentially, because I'm wearing this shirt, black and red and white, we already know what's going on. The sequel with the black suit and Harry possibly being Venom and all this exciting story points that are going to happen within the inevitable sequel to SpiderMan PS4, because the PlayStation 5 is coming out in holiday 2020. There were some little posts on Insomniac's job website that did hint to a possible game that they are working on coming out in 2021, that they are looking for engineers and programmers and designers for. So, of course, with all the success that SpiderMan PS4 had, it makes sense that they're going to make a sequel for the game. It's too popular of a brand, and everyone is looking forward to what could come next in the Insomniac Spider-Man universe. And of course, having it be a title on the PlayStation 5 set to release in 2020. After that, I don't think it will be a launch title, but rather after that whole year is over with 2020, I could see the sequel for SpiderMan PS4 with the black suit, with Yuri Lowenthal coming back, with Venom, with Miles is playable as Spider-Man. All this exciting story beats and gameplay aspects that we can look forward to, possibly co-op. I can see that releasing in 2021 or 2022, depending on how the development time works. But they have all the facets nailed down with development for the game in the first game. The city's built, the swinging is all good, they know what to improve upon, the combat is definitely there, and everything with the graphics are top-notch. All they have to do now is improve upon it, expand upon their engine, keep growing their main assets, and get Yuri Lowenthal back as Spider-Man, and all the other cast coming back as their own respective roles, and then we have the sequel on our hands, and it's going to be insane. So, without further ado, I won't spoil the interview for you because I definitely think that you should listen to the entirety of it yourself. But again, if you want to listen to their entire podcast, I will leave a link to their SoundCloud in the description below. But for the main interview that they did have with Yuri Lowenthal discussing Marvel's Spider-Man and all of its glory, please enjoy this amazing interview with Yuri Lowenthal, Peter Melnick, and Eddie Wilson discussing Marvel's Spider-Man on the Marvelists Podcast. Thank you all so much for watching, and please enjoy.
Now let's blast off into our interview with the voice of Spider-Man on PlayStation 4, as well as Spider-Man in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Nintendo Switch, available now in stores, and also Spider-Man Game of the Year Edition available in stores. Let's go over that interview with Yuri Lowenthal, and that interview starts right now. Alright, this is going to be a very special interview right now, and as a lifelong fan of video games and a lifelong fan of Marvel, I am beyond thrilled to have somebody else who is another part of a lifelong obsession. This is a terrible intro, but anyway, we got Yuri Lowenthal of Spider-Man fame. Yuri, how are you?
That wasn't a terrible intro. They're usually too polished, and I applaud you for that one.
No, they're usually longer, so you're spared.
It was messy in the best way possible.
Oof.
So, first off, Yuri, you're Spider-Man. Where do you get the web fluid?
That still feels good to hear somebody say that out loud, because I still wake up every morning going, was that just some sort of weird dream that I had? Where do I get my web fluid?
Yeah.
Amazon, like everybody else.
I was going to say Acme,
That Prime shipping is fantastic. Even web fluid.
Oscorp.
Right. Those are both better answers than Amazon.
The latest offshoot of Roxxon Energy.
Eddie, you are going with the really deep cuts for Marvel right now. I'm appreciating that.
Damn straight.
But in regards to the Spider-Man game, first off, how did you get the call for the role of Peter Parker?
That was multi-layered. That was a great number of calls. It actually started because I had worked on Sunset Overdrive with Insomniac before Spider-Man, and when they got sort of the audition for Spider-Man as a company, whereas I imagine a bunch of companies were doing it, they came to me and they said, "Hey, we want to record an audition for us to basically throw our hat in the ring for this game. Would you come and just do a temp voice for Peter Parker?" And I was like, "Of course I will do that." And they had somebody do Norman Osborn as well, and it was just a scene between the two of us. And they're like, "Okay, thanks." And I'm like, "Great, I hope you get it." And then a long time later, probably almost a year later, they had gotten the game and they were starting production on it. And I think actually somebody else was hired for Peter. I think somebody, I still don't know who it was, but they had hired somebody. I think a TV actor, and it just didn't work out, which happens all the time. I still get fired on occasion, and it's part of being a pro. But then they put the call out for Peter Parker again, and so I started auditioning. It was funny, I had a mohawk at the time, and they were having us audition both, to do the performance capture and the voice. They wanted somebody they could have working with both. And I came in with this mohawk, and they were like, no, that's the haircut from Sunset Overdrive, but we'll give you a pass on this since it's not even going to look like you. And then it was just a series of auditions and callbacks, and they had, the best, people I work with all the time, hugely talented people, some who have played Spider-Man before and some who haven't, and then I finally got it and was obviously over the moon, because I'm an old school comic book nerd, so this is one of the greatest moments of my life. Pretty old school. I'm 48 now, which meant that I was, when we were doing it, it was like mid 40s, because it took us I worked on it for 3 years. But right, my vocal cords sound young, which is good, because it's my bread and butter. But it's lucky that I had really good stunt people to do all the Spidey stuff. So when we're doing the performance capture, if it's Peter doing awkward things, or if it's Spider-Man basically just standing there or walking from one place to another, that's often my face and body. But as soon as Spider-Man has to do anything cool, which is most of the game, those were my two super awesome stunt doubles, Ross and Seth, who bring the spider to Spider-Man really in this game.
That's what I was going to ask too, and not having, except for seeing something about the top 5 moments or scenes in the game, and not listening, just trying to follow along what was going on, and not listening too intently on the voices. Was there more than one person voicing Peter versus Spider-Man? Or with the technology available now, I mean, it's not like, production where it was all reel to reel and that stuff, just right, distorting and changing the voice. It could be the same person, but maybe not.
Yeah, no, it was, the voice was always me. The face was always me. The movements were mostly stunt guys who fly and flip and swing for a living. And I was happy to give that up to those guys, because like we alluded to earlier, I'm no spring chicken. nor honestly could I do any of those things even when I was in my 20s. So
or would result some kind of injury. No, and I'm right there with you because I'm about 6 years older than you. Yeah, that sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. So old school comic book guy yourself.
So I am. Yes, we are. There we go.
As he sips out of a Spider-Man mug.
Dang right it is, and it's good. Mm.
I'm imagining you guys both dressed as Spider-Man right now, so that works.
No, I have done a Spider-Man, but with the puffy muscles. It's not the real thing, because I'm not worthy, for sure.
I've also done Peter B. Parker because I have dad bod. So,
yeah, hey, I hear it's a man that opened up so many good cosplays for normal people.
Yeah,
Peter Parker.
Yeah, that's true. I can't do the character justice like that.
And in regards to your portrayal of the character, by the way. In regards to that, one of the things that a lot of people have said was how it is considered the best interpretation of the Peter Parker Spider-Man story. And when you hear that high praise where people have said that it's even better than the movies, how does that make you feel to hear that?
Like I'm living a dream. Like you say that and I get all shy and weird about it, which I guess is the Peter Parker thing to do. But it's such an honor. I don't say this lightly because, like I said, I grew up with this character and these characters and in this world, and I have seen and heard so many different Spider-Men to come before me, and it is we'll get back to it. We had to get there eventually, right? I did feel like it was a great responsibility. To carry this mantle. And I'll be honest with you, for 3 years that I was working on it, I was terrified that I was going to mess it up. And that I was going to ruin everybody's childhood or everybody's, ruin Spider-Man for a whole new generation, whatever. And that people responded as well as they did, which, is in part to my performance, but is in great part to the amazing writing that we got, the story that they told, the other actors who, Bill Salyer's coming in and crushing it as Doc Ock. I could not have gotten to where I was without, acting with those people, on the mocap stage and just knowing what they were doing in the VO booth. So it was definitely a group effort. I got nervous when you said that when you said that praise like that, and I started rambling. But it truly is a great honor and I felt a great responsibility. And I'm overjoyed that people have responded in the way they have.
Well, obviously, Yuri, that the people who hired you must have seen or heard something that said, yeah, he can do this, and they put their trust and faith and money in you and that kind of thing. So, but I can understand the nerves. Absolutely, you want to do it.
Yeah. And when I felt very nervous, I had to go back to that. I had to know that. I mean, this whole team at Insomniac, they're all the Spider-Man fans of the highest level, and they were not going to let me mess this up. And so, if there was ever anything that we needed to tweak, or ever anything where I was floundering, or they felt they could help, they always stepped in and did it, because everybody on this project loves Spider-Man so much.
That I thought of quickly, though, that when Peter said, better than the movie, and I'm saying to myself, well, sarcastically, does it come with that movie actor paycheck too? And I don't need you to divulge numbers or anything like that, 'cause that's your business.
Sure.
But I don't know, if it's in a movie or now in a game, are they competitive in terms of what you can actually get paid for, doing that?
No. Yeah, the short answer is no. There is still a huge pay gap, as between like a Hollywood level, what a Hollywood level role like that would pay, and what it pays in game. But I'm also not going to say, like, I got to work, as an actor, to have a job that goes on, obviously not every day. We didn't record every day for 3 years, but to know that I had work for 3 years as an actor who makes my living on a as like a on a freelance basis, like we all do, was huge. And so for me, it was
it was huge.
I figured that was the answer to the question before I even asked it. But then I thought, well, geez, maybe it depends on how much time you had to do with this game and so on. Maybe that had a factor in there.
Well, sure. I recorded a lot of sessions, and it adds up, which was great because I had my wife, who's also in the game, had found out we were pregnant right about the time we started the game. So what is that they say, with a baby a loaf of bread or whatever? It was good timing.
Now, in regards to your portrayal of the character, one person on Twitter, at Mutant Jedi Mouse, that's a hell of a Twitter name, they ask, what's your opinion on the Marvel Gamerverse, and where do you see PS4 Spidey in the future?
I would love to see any PS4 Spidey in the future. I think they've opened up such a great playing field to tell stories that you're not going to see, you're not going to see in the MCU, with characters that you might not see in the MCU either. So I'm hoping it opens it up not only for Spider-Man and new villains and really innovative storytelling, but also other Marvel characters that I love. Moon Knight, to have, wouldn't it be crazy if we got a Moon Knight game before? Although I hear they just announced a Moon Knight animated series, which, obviously is a long time coming, but I would love to, I don't know. I would just love to see it grow and grow.
In regards to Moon Knight, I believe he's going to be a part of the downloadable content of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 for the Nintendo Switch. And with the whole Gamerverse thing, I believe you also do the voice of Spidey in Ultimate Alliance 3, correct?
I do. Yeah, they came to me after the SpiderMan game came out, and they said, would you be willing to? And I'm like, are you kidding? And A, it's Spider-Man again, and B, anytime somebody comes to you and says, you don't have to audition for this, we'd like to offer it to you, you just say yes.
I love the fact that it was you that did the voice, because it makes all of these games now interconnected. They're a part of this, again, the big multiverse, kind of thing. And when I was at New York Comic Con this past year, we got to do, some stuff with Square Enix for the Avengers game that's coming out for PS4s and everything, and got to play that. And I'm wondering, are those voices also the same ones that were in Ultimate Alliance? Are they going to show up in other games? And I just love that.
I don't know.
I love that Gamerverse concept. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and although this, it's funny because it's my voice, but it's a different Spider-Man, which was interesting to do, having just come off the other game. They're like, it's not exactly the same Spider-Man. We were thinking maybe he's a little younger, maybe he's a little bit of this, maybe he's a little bad, and then we created, a similar but different Spider-Man voice for it.
When the question was just asked then again about the future of Spider-Man PS4, I just thought, Spider-Man PS4 2099.
Oh, which is when the next game comes out, by the way. I'm kidding. I don't know when. I keep waiting for my phone to ring. I know. Look, we're nobody's stupid here. We know they're making a Spider-Man 2. They have to be. The first one, made too much money. But they're probably spending time on the script because they know that first game was so well written. They're like, we can't let the fans down again. But I keep waiting for my phone to ring.
Hope it's soon.
It's much like Spider-Verse, the Spider-Verse movie, where it took them a number of years to make, and they wanted to make that perfect. And I'm appreciating that, as opposed to, this is just my personal opinion, hey, let's do Venom 2, 2 years immediately, hey, let's see whatever we can do. Whereas Spider-Verse was well-tuned, well done, and then you have Spider-Man for the PS4. Again, an amazing physics engine, great control, just a wonderful story. And that took time, and that is where I'm just like, take your time, do your thing, you go do you.
Exactly. I'm not like, I'm waiting for that phone call, but I don't want them to rush anything. Because you're right, because the Spider-Verse movie was amazing. I mean, it was so good. I mean, we live in a good time for Spider-Man these days, when you've got Spider-Verse and you've got the PS4 game. And, the recent movies are no slouch either. Everybody's got their opinion, but I've really enjoyed them so far.
You know what? Very elementary, basic question, because that's me.
I know what you're going for.
How long does it take to play this game?
I did not think that'd be the question.
How long
I'm
could
glad
you
you
find
guys can still
yourself?
surprise each other.
So it happens. Ugh.
We finish each other's sandwiches.
Well, I'll get to the embarrassing part. I haven't finished. I did not play through the whole thing because again, I have a 3-year-old,
that's not-
and I used to game a lot, and in recent years I haven't, and I just found the curve for me getting back into it was taking too much time, and so I haven't finished it. But maybe you can talk to somebody else on this call. How long does it take to finish the game?
So, in regards to that, when the game came out, it was like, I believe, mid-September, right? Beginning to mid-September.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't finish the game until, I want to say, December or January. But everyone I knew a month later at New York Comic-Con, oh man, that game was so great. I beat that like within 2 days. I'm like, why would you rush that? It was beautiful. Don't do that. But I would say on average, maybe like 2 weeks, something like that. That's without the DLC.
And then with or without DLC, because I know a lot of people have varying attitudes towards DLC. They're like, oh, this is just stuff they couldn't rush in time to get to the game. But the DLC was always meant to be more and different, and they worked just as hard on that as they did on the game.
Yeah, and in regards to the DLC, we have a question from a Twitter user as well, at Private Spidey. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I like that one. What was your favorite suit in the game?
I would say, because I can't even keep up. I mean, they've been really good at bringing out suits. I like Spider-Punk. I like Scarlet Spider, and I like the Future Foundation suit, which was not a suit that I was familiar with from the comics. But I just love the way it looks.
Yeah.
Well, is it the Future
honest.
Foundation one from
Black and white. The Hickman run.
Yeah, right, of FF. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I mean, I'm a fan of SpiderMan Noir for a number of different reasons. So I guess if I had to pick a top 4, those would be my 4. And then it goes without saying that the advanced suit, the white spider suit, is kind of I take some ownership of that. So I'm not even going to include that because that will always be at the top of the list. That will always be the Spider-Man that I got to be. So.
You go.
And the Spider-Man that you got to be even got referenced in Spider-Man Far From Home. The development team, they went to a screening of Far From Home, and at the end of the movie, you see Spider-Man thwipping his way through New York City, and he's on his phone, takes a selfie, and he does the little peace sign just like Peter Parker does.
I know! I know. It was great, and they referenced the suit in the Spider-Verse movie, which it was sent all our heads spinning.
And it's such a, again, last year and this year, with the exception of about, I think, 5 or 6 weeks, was an amazing time to be a Spider-Man fan. Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
I have to ask, and this was the question I thought Eddie was going to ask.
All right.
Out of all of the live action performances, who is your personal favorite Spider-Man?
Oh man, I think I'm going to have to go back to Tobey during that the Sam Raimi period. Including all the stuff that nobody liked that Tobey did later on in the series. He was my Spider-Man when I was watching Spider-Man movies. I love Holland as well. And I will be honest, I didn't, even being a fan and even being a big movie guy, somehow I missed the Garfield ones. I still, to this day, haven't seen them. Now, I love Andrew Garfield as a performer, but I haven't seen either of those 2 movies, believe it or not.
I remember when I saw the first one, I enjoyed what I saw, but the second one, the less said, the better.
Yeah, fair enough.
In regards to, the movies and everything, and of course that includes Spider-Verse, would you take the opportunity, I know your answer, would you love to be a part of a Spider-Verse 2?
1,000%. That's also a phone I'm waiting to, for my phone, I'm waiting for my phone to ring for that one. I have no reason to believe that they would necessarily reach out, but I would love it if they did. I would. That's an easy yes.
I honestly, just in regards to that, I would love to see your Spider-Man interact with Peter B. Parker as well as Miles, just because. And I'd love to just see, hear your character go, "Oh, I know Miles. Oh, you're a different Miles."
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Spider-Verse definitely opens up a door to the gaming aspect of things now, and wow, the universe just got a lot really, really, really bigger. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really did. There are so many opportunities now.
I keep bumping it.
That's 3 times, Melnick. What are you doing to that microphone?
Once, twice, 3 times a microphone.
That's a Commodore song, for crying out loud. Yuri, I'm sorry, we had to forewarn you. There are song references scattered throughout any podcast.
I am okay with that. As a big music lover, that one did not skate by unnoticed.
So let's do some faves of yours or decades of music. What do you got?
Oh man, I
throw a couple out there. I don't know.
I love the 1940s for jazz.
Oh, okay.
I love the 80s for pop, and I love the 90s for like a resurgence of and a transformation of punk rock. I grew up in Washington D.C. during the era of
Nirvana,
Fugazi and Bad Brains, and so I grew up in that, and so that was that. Then moving into everything that was happening in the Northwest, so that was a big part of my childhood.
So you didn't hear about the grunge movement; you lived through it.
Yeah, I wasn't quite far enough Northwest to live through the grunge part of it, but everything leading up to that, yeah.
Okay.
Now, in regards to music with Peter Parker, what would some of his favorites kind of be? Because I think you know a little bit about the Peter Parker persona.
Yeah, and somebody asked me this once on Twitter, and they said, "Hey, I would love to curate a Spotify list for what Peter would be listening to as he's swinging around the city," and I was like, "Oh, I would love to do that." And then it took me forever to get back to him because I was so nervous about trying to figure out what Peter would listen to. And then I finally went, well, I'm Peter in this case, and so there are no wrong answers. So let me just put what I would listen to, and let's see what happens. And if you go to Spotify, I don't know exactly how to find it now, but there is a list that this guy curated for me. I sent him a list of songs, and you can go find out yourself on Spotify.
Okay.
Alrighty, so at Terry Lee Life asks, in reality, do you see yourself as Spider-Man? Meaning, like, do you ever go, like, what would Peter do or Spider-Man do in the situation? Whether that's eating, going to sleep, just your daily routine in general.
I think about it a lot more than I used to, that's for sure. Although back to sort of to jump off of what I just said, I've adopted this Peter as myself. So the things that I would do would be the things that Peter would do, and vice versa. It goes back and forth.
And one of the things that I feel a lot of people, the reason they also say why they love this version of the character in this story is because you have more time to spend with these characters and you have a better feel for them, because much like the connection and love affair people had of the Netflix series of the Defenders and them, you have much more time to invest in this version of Peter Parker. And I felt more comfortable with this Peter Parker than any other version of the character, because you're him, you're doing things, you're seeing his scattered relationships with everyone around him, and it's something magical that I feel the benefit of a game has.
100% agree. It's almost unfair to compare the game to a movie or a single comic book, or even a single run of a single story, that A, you imprint because you're playing the game and you're doing it all, and B, you have so much time to explore the relationships and the environment and the life.
Have you checked out the adaptations of the comic that they did recently for the PS4 game?
City at War?
Yes.
I had been waiting for the trade paperbacks to come out because I'm miserable. I don't have a pull box anymore because I rarely go in the shop anymore. But I've been waiting for the trades to come out so that I could pick them up. And I think the first one did come out, didn't it, recently?
Yeah, that just ended a few months ago. And Velocity, I don't know what Velocity's about. I picked up the first 2 issues and I still haven't touched them. But
yeah, I will definitely get to them. I'm excited.
Just the idea again, I believe Eddie has a couple issues of the City at War book, and he's never played it, but he gets to experience the story.
No, you know what? I just read. I think it was 5 or 6 parts, 6-part series. I think in the comic. And when we visited the Marvel offices, one of the free comic books, we got a couple of free ones, was part 5 of City at War. And I think I kind of looked through that kind of quickly and said, well, this is a different look and feel and so on. So I need to go back and readdress that and see about, getting the whole run of that little series.
All I know is that Spider-Geddon made Spider Cop canon, and that's all I care about.
Oh, I love Spider Cop.
Ugh, you and me both.
It's such, Who's the one that thought of that joke? I love that recurring joke throughout the game.
That was
Ben Arfman was one of the writers on the game, and one of the head writers, and he was trying to figure out a way to make tutorials stuff interesting, and he couldn't do it. He went through iteration after iteration and got really frustrated and came up with this Spider Cop thing and went, they're never gonna go for this, but I'm gonna pitch it. And even when we went in to record it, they're like, look, nobody thinks this is gonna work, but let's see what happens.
Now, our two final questions that we're going to ask in here are listener questions, but they're not pertaining to Spider-Man. They're going to be questions pertaining to general voiceover work that you've done. And this one comes from Tom Klein asking, ask him which were his favorite roles and who among them would win in a fight, and which Persona game is your favorite.
Oh, man. In no particular order, that first Persona 4 game, I think of all the Persona games that I've worked on, gave birth to Yosuke, the character that I played, and so that will always be my favorite. Some of my, it's always hard to pick a favorite, but I will say, and it happened early on in my career, and I haven't been able to shake this guy, the Prince from the Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, which we came back a couple of other games to do, but nothing ever quite matched the magic of that game and that character for me. So if I had to, if the Prince fought Spider-Man, oh man, I think, woof. I mean, the Prince could rewind time, which is something that Spider-Man would definitely grapple with.
And Cher would be a fan of it, at least.
Oh,
see.
Oh wow, back to the music, right?
We technically got Peter Parker to sing Cher, and I'm really proud of that moment.
It was all building up to this, wasn't it?
Sure was.
wow. Can't top that now.
We'll have to hang up the microphones and the headphones.
Right.
Now, the next question comes from Rob Lucas, and he wants to know, out of the roles you've done for Rooster Teeth, which is more fun, Neil from Camp Camp or Mercury from RWBY?
Definitely Neil from Camp Camp. Nothing against Ruby, but the writing on Camp Camp is so funny, and Neil is so ridiculous. They've created some amazing things for me to say, and so it will. My heart will always be with Neil. #CampADM.
Now, before we go, my last question is, Nolan North is synonymous with the role of Deadpool, and you're synonymous now with the role of Spider-Man.
I love every time you say it. Yes. Yep.
But do you think we'll ever see Deadpool meet Spider-Man, where you both of the roles merge together and just have some chimichangas and maybe some pizza time?
I will say this. I sincerely, having read a bunch of books, that go into the Deadpool Spider-Man romance, and it's not a bromance, it's a full-on romance. I would, and besides the fact that Nolan and I have our own sort of romance in real life, I would welcome that like nobody's business. I think that would be a really, really smart move. But I don't know how that stuff works. But again, easy yes.
It would be, that's one of those, we actually ran a poll on our Twitter page, and it was a joke poll, but who is the best love interest of Spider-Man? And we had MJ, Gwen, Black Cat, and Wade Wilson, and Wade was winning for a little while.
Well, I'm proud to hear that.
I was so happy.
Oh, shit.
It's so good. So good.
Yuri, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being a damn good Spider-Man.
Eddie, Peter, thank you for asking me to talk about how awesome this is for me.
Yeah, we appreciate it, and we've officially made a number of amazing references in here, I think, too, so it might be a record.
Spectacular.
Yet web of
Great.
even.
Sensational. Marvel team up.
Even.
Superior.
All right. Well, I will talk to you guys again soon then, hopefully. Thanks for this opportunity.
You have an open invite to come on whenever you want to come on and talk with us about the old webhead, anything.
Outstanding.
Appreciate it, Yuri. Thanks very much. Lots of continued success.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Once again, a big thank you to Yuri Lowenthal. Give him a follow on Twitter at Yuri Lowenthal. You can find him. He's the one with the verified account. So, yeah. Once again, like I said, big thank you. I can't get over that interview because we got to talk to Spider-Man. Like, that was the very first thing that I said when we got off mic with him. Like I just said, Eddie, we talked to Spider-Man. Oh my God, you guys. We talked to Spider-Man.
It was amazing how many times was that word used in the interview.
But that was unintentional. That was really unintentional.
No, it was subliminal, but it was there. Intentional would have been, oh yeah, absolutely, sure,
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Marvel Tales.
Sensational.
We haven't done Marvel Tales as a joke. That was a good one.
This is true. And Web of.
Untold Tales of.
And Superior.
Ultimate. Which you need to read, Eddie.
All 180-something issues.
Oh, it's still good, Eddie. You'd love it, Eddie.
Of course it's still good. It lasted 180-something issues.
You're damn right. For the Marvelists, I'm Peter Melnick.
And so help me, I'm Eddie Wilson. Excelsior!